I updated the repository with the new style we made during the first part of the webinar. And I also add a new links to filter and geometry function that we will use two of this function in the styles. So I add these links to the list. Now, back to the maps and the layers. Yesterday we worked mainly on the background and started to use some function to update to visualize some data on the features and layers. And today we will continue with line symbolizer and lines with data I got from IGAD Portal. Okay. On IGAD Portal, I found this interesting data, the ones about the fiber optic cable under the sea. Yes. So that's the reason yesterday we started with a dark background for the ocean, because I would like to create and highlight lines for these styles. And also on the land, I choose for this example I think this is the transmission network. Yes. And I try to make some different styles and use different functionality of GeoCSS. Mm-hmm. Now I will start with the under the sea cable. I will open. Now as you can see on these styles, there are just the line is composed by different multiple lines in the same feature. This because GeoCSS lets you paint different layers for the same feature, so apply different rules using the single property. Before to start to remake these styles, I would like to show you a small explanation about this. Okay. Yesterday we work with this kind of rule. We have a property and a single values. Property with single values. This case is stroke. This is a representation in 3D of a line with the black lines with the width of 10. Now, when we apply two different colors with a comma, so we have the first color, the second color, the render of the line is something like this. You will paint before the line on the bottom in black, white 10, and then we'll apply on top the one blue. So this is a works styling with GeoCSS in this case. So you have a first layer, and then, layers. A first paint, and then on top a second paint of this. Cool. Then what happened, and now I will try to explain the z-index and why we use z-index in GeoCSS. This works if we have a single line, but if we have multiple lines, happens that they are drawn like this. There are the first feature on the left, where they paint before the black surface and then the blue, light blue, and then the second feature that will paint like the first and the second in order. So this happen on the when they touch each other in the join, you see this kind of strange overlap. To avoid this, we can use a third rule that is called z-index, that applies 0 for the first and 1 for the second rule. So what happens is this kind of, this sequence, first you will paint with the 0, this part, and with the light blue the second. So when finally you have a continuous line.
Yes.
This is the reason we will use the z-index on some line and in others not. Usually this is useful with roads line and the road looks cleaner. So I hope this clarify a bit the use of the index. Now back to the map. We will start with these styles. Now I will comment all the styles, and I will write it again. Okay. Now, as you can see, I apply a stroke. The stroke, we visualize all the line with the same values. And it's the basic application of the stroke. Now, following the previous rule I showed, I can add on top, for example, in this case, a white color or white. Now they are draw one on top of the other, so with the same sides. So you see only the white one. I will apply the width, so with dimension of the stroke, and I will use try with 10 and then 5. So the first will paint on with 10 and the second with 5. And we see this basically this
effects,
this state, and we in this case I will add also and you see now in this point also there is some overlap. If you use the index 0 and 1, they will be not overlapping anymore. So you see a single line. It depends what is the result you need to show. Now, in this example, I will show also the interpolate function. And for this kind of data, I query the feature to see what information there is on the cable. I have to click again. Okay. Now I use the capacity of the cable to change the sides and the color of the cable. I will start with the sides. So yesterday we saw the categorize. In the first part we saw the categorize function. Now we will see the interpolate. Interpolate function. The interpolation function needs the name of the property, then comma. We need to define first the minimum value we want to map. In this case, I used it 0. Then the match with the 0 from the width. So I will start, for example, for 1. So it means when the capacity is 0, the stroke width will be 1. Then I will add also for the capacity near to 5,000, I will match a value of 10. So Now the stroke should be different
everywhere.
based on their capacity. So we use the capacity value to this interpolation make this translates as follows. The zero capacity is equal to 1 stroke width. The 5,000 capacity is equal to 10. And in between, it's create the corresponding values. So it will map the other value in between these two ones. For this kind of lines, I will remove the second rule for now, and I want to apply a stroke opacity. For example, to see another effect with nice effect with lines opacity, because for the cable, in this case, I would like to show also the connection, the one on top, on the bottom. So with the stroke opacity, you can see all the line. And I like this kind of visualization. I will add also the join of the line now are squared. I would like to add a join around join. There is the rule stroke line join. You can use the value round. Now round, and the stroke line cap is the end of the lines. Now that makes a more, I would see, more cleaner the result of the line. Okay. Then I would like also to change this color based on the capacity, and we can use the same function. We use here the interpolation with colors. Instead of use the value for the stroke width, we will use color. We need the quote inside the interpolation. I'm sorry, it's not the first, but the second value. The first is the value of capacity. Capacity 0, color, this color, and capacity 500, this color. We need also to add additional parameters to this function. This argument, sorry, to this function is the colors, because for colors you need to know that we are using colors instead of numbers, so you can create an interpolation with the colors. Now, if I try to change with, for example, yellow, green, or yellow, it should interpolate with the light blue and yellow. So there is, and these kind of visualization work well on dark backgrounds with high saturate color. For now, we'll take these changes. I also add, as for the fill, you can add the symbols on the or line or on these lines, and you can add a new rule with the comma. And for example, now I will add a circle on top of it. So as you can see, it will repeat the circle everywhere. And to change this circle, we need to call the stroke selector. Yesterday we saw the field selector, and in the first part we saw the stroke selector. Now the field selector. Now we will see the stroke selector, and we can change the colors of this symbol. We will change the stroke now. Okay, and now you see we have the bottom line, and on top some circle that repeat for the length of the polylines. We can apply the same colors as for the stroke. Okay, so now they match the colors, and we can also change the sides. Here I have to move this a bit. Okay. We change the stroke, sorry, not the stroke width, but the sides of the circle. I will start with 8 and see how it looks. Now it's smaller, but we can also to change it with the interpolation function. But I think I have to, okay. As you can see now, the circle change the sides based on the capacity value.
Oh.
Maybe the one needs to be a bit, okay. So we see we have used interpolate function to change colors, sides, stroke width of the line, of these lines, of this line that represent cables. We can also add an additional information.
What's the circle for?
The circle, now I try to add a new, it's not information to change, to represent the cable. I try to use these styles to make it different from the one on the land, but it's not mandatory. It's like a way I try to yes, and to show a new feature of GeoCSS, but we can remove it and take more simpler, if you prefer.
No, it's okay. I'm just asking.
Yes, yes. Now, okay. Now we change a bit the size, right? Okay. Point. Sorry, and then we. Oh, I set it wrong. Okay. Now I will add also on this line another information with the labels. For example, we can show the name of the cable. So we can see the property label. To use label, we can write as hard-coded label by writing something that will repeat for every line. For example, fiber optic cable. And this value will be the same for every. I will be a font fill to change the colors to make it more visible. Okay. Now it's more visible, and as you can see, this value will repeat for every cable without no difference. Now, I will use the value from properties, and to use the value, you have to open a square brace and close a square brace. So we saw that this feature has name values, and as you can see now, the name are different for every line. I would like to make more visible these labels, so I will increase the size with the font size. Font size, maybe. Oh, before I have to declare the font family to apply the size. Font family. Now I'm using the Noto Sans font. There is a link on the description for the, in the repository to the Noto Sans font to get all the needed font to use. And as you can see, change the font size. Now maybe a bit smaller. More, okay, this could work. Now we have labels for every cable here. Okay, and I would like also to make it more readable by adding a halo around. Halo color. I will use dark color, and I will explain now why we are using halo with the same color of the background, or contrast with the font fill. I try to. The reason is simple is this one, because this is the rule you will find for the font. You will have a label to declare the label you are using, the text of the label. The font are the way, the aspect of, the style for the font. The halo is the border around the text. That is important because if the text has the same color of the background, this happens. Is not readable anymore. So important always to add a stroke that has contrast with the main color of the font. In this way, you can always read the label on map. So these are the basic rule for the label. And for the line, you can also decide to show the label that follow the line. And you can make it by using the label offset and give it 0. With 0, you make an offset that follow line with the value 0. If you add, for example, 5, you will see that they move on the top. I will ignore 10. Okay. As you can see, you can change the offset of the orientation with the label offset properties and move on top, on the bottom. There is also the property label follow line that could be true or false. And with this rule, the GeoCSS will apply the label also when they make some curve with low angle. So this is an additional rule to the offset that could be useful, for example, for roads, railways. But for now, we don't need it for this case. So with this study, we saw how to use a multiple rule on a property, in this case stroke, how to use interpolates with color and with a number in the stroke width, with the sides of the symbol, and we can apply also a symbol on a stroke line. Then I will move to another slide. I save the changes. Okay. We close this. Save. And not this one. Transmission network. Okay, I show this style. This style is when I made this style, I talk about how to represent a cable. So I try to use the rule, the multiple rule you can apply on a line to create a sort of kind of shade. And I will show you how. For the cable, I used the property, if I remember, to change the size of the cable, I use the properties, I think, a voltage. And you see now, this is the, no, it's not this one, is the transmission network. So as for the fiber optic under the sea, I use the interpolate function to change the size of the cables. And no, this time I use the categorize, a different function, so I can explain in a bit. And we saw the categorize also for yesterday, sorry, in the first part of the webinar for the field, when we apply different colors based on the population. And now, as you can see, we have multiple rules for the stroke. Now we comment this part and write it again. I will take the filter, we use it, and we start to apply a stroke. This is a blue. So now we will see a simple line with a blue stroke. Oh, there is something wrong. Stroke. Okay. So now we have a single line and with a stroke width. Okay. So now we apply for all the feature in this layer the same stroke width and color. Then we see before we can apply multiple rules with the same properties. So I'll add a new rule. I'll make in this case white color, and on top
how did you filter the cables in the countries, in the land?
in the land.
Yes, all those ones. How did you filter it? Greater than 5 ml or what?
You mean this line or?
Yes, this line. How did you select it? Only
I'm saying
tables.
only not
Only.
countries, but if the scale denominator
Hmm.
is less than 10 millions and is greater than 5 millions. So I can see only this cable at only one scale.
Okay, only on the scale. When the scale is less
Is
than
in
10
between,
million.
yes, in between the 10 millions and the 5 millions.
But how come the system didn't select the cables under the ocean? What's
Under
the
the
filter?
ocean is a different layer, so I can hide with, for example, I can,
Oh, that's on different layer.
yes, there are two different layers,
Okay, okay, okay.
but for
I thought
now I
they
can hide.
I thought they are on the same layer, so it's
Okay. But I can show you that with from the UI, maybe you need to hide for now this layer. You can hide with the button on the table of content for now, and we can continue on that. Okay. So now we have two rule applying on this line, and I would like to also add a third rule. I will make a red, maybe the last. With a different value of 2. So now we have three rules with three difference of width. Now I would like to remove this intersection, and I will use the z-index, and this time we have 0, 1, and 2. So this rule will apply to the 0 for the first part, second, and third part. So now the intersection are disappeared. I can show without the index. There is intersection overlapping and with the index. The index. I need this kind of visualization because to create a shade and make this like a cable, I use this technique. I will start from the dark color, so I will choose, for example, blue. Maybe this one. I will copy this color 1 second. And I'll change a bit, trying to go near the white side of the color picker. Then we'll copy this one. And we go in that direction. And then at the end, it seems maybe this one should be less darker. It seems that we are making shade around this value. We have to move a bit. So we create a sort of kind of 3D effect without use 3D. Probably this a bit darker. Okay. And we need also to add a stroke line join, line cap and line join. I usually use round. So the connection now are clear. To be sure, also the join between line join. Okay, so now the line seems to have more continuity. Then I would like to change the stroke width of each feature based on their voltage. So I will take the stroke width away for now. Okay, and this time we will use Categorize. Okay, so for Categorize we need the voltage property, and I will copy this value and I will explain. So we have this can be translated in this way. When the voltage is less than 100, we will use 0.5. When in between the 100 and 132, we will use 1 for the stroke width. In between 220 and 132, we will use 2. And in between 330 and 220, we will use 3. Over the 200, greater than 330, we will use 4. Now, you see that all these rules have the same size, so we not see the difference. We did not see the shade we created before. And we can make it by copying the first rule, add a comma, apply to the second, and we can multiply the first rule for 2. This means that the value created from this function will be multiplied by 2, and this means we can copy and paste the same rule for all 3 stroke width. And for example, this one is in between. I will multiply this for 1.5, maybe a bit less. Maybe I multiply this one for divide by 2 by multiply. Okay, for 0.5 this. So we apply for the stroke width with the categorize function, the 3 categorize functions. The function is the same. We multiply only with different factor, so we can change easily the stroke width based on the voltage kilovolt. Now also on this line, I would like to add a label. So I will start with our coded label network. Okay, I will check for what kind of information I can display for this layer. So I will probably use still the voltage to see if they match the sides. Okay, voltage. Then, as before, we change the fill, And fill, I will use the color of the line. So, sorry, not the fill, I will use a white color. And the halo color will be the same of the background. I had to the color of the line, and the halo radius in this case could be 2. Okay, now we see the information displayed near the line, and to make I would like also to add the unit of measure, the same kilovolt. So we can add our code information by write between commas what we want to add to the variable. So these values between square brace, we take from the information of the feature, but we can add additional information, for example, the unit of measure, to explain what the numbers means. Now, probably we can change the halo with a lighter color. Should be in between this. Maybe was better before. Okay. Font family. I select the Noto Sans. Okay, and this time I will use the rule label follow line set to true. So now the label will follow the line, and the size seems okay. So now we see that with the label we can also add information to the variable we choose that represent the text we want to display. And with the label follow line, we were able to make our text to, as the property said, follow the line. Oh, now there was the scale dimension rule. That's because we cannot see to all the other scales. And so we saw how to make a shade, how to use the categorize with multiple rules, how to apply a label with additional information. Now I save this, and I will move to we'll work still on lines, but on a different layer I found on the IGAD portal is the market distribution layer and trade. I will show also a bit the railways and roads, always from IGAD portal. They are okay. So you see now on the map styles for the roads and styles for the railways. There are the dashed lines. There's still the style we made for the borders of the countries. There is some information about the countries, the name of the countries. And now we will open the roads style. The road styles. Road styles has two rules. I will move. Before to move to that arrow, I would like to show. So I will hide for now the shaded. We don't need that now. And we'll back to the rods. Now rods. You see that for the rods we apply a rule for a filter to identify the type of the type of the rods, and a scale denominator to show the rod only under the 5 millions scales. And under the 5 million, it will show a single line that you see here, in red for the primary, in orange for the secondary, and outer rods in gray. Now they should be okay. And if we move under you see a nested rule in each of these styles, and in the nested rule we have we have a new scale denominator under the 2.5 millions. If I zoom in, we see that the style for the rods now has a border around red. Okay, for the primary is the first rule with the stroke of 4 with the index of 0, and the white inside that is the index 1. The stroke is white and the stroke width is 3. So it makes a border around the rods. For the railway, we used, in this case, I will back to the styles. Okay, we use a simple dashed line for IGAD scale denominator. So when the scale denominator is less than 5 million and greater than 2.5 million, and when we zoom in, it will change a bit. We will have background of dark gray background. On top are dashed white lines. This effect you can make by adding the property stock-array. I will comment it. Okay. Now I have to remove also this one for now. So without dashed array, that seems a continuous line, but we can add a root stroke dash array. With the first, we declare the rule that needs to be 1, 0. 1, 0 make the line continuous, and it applies to the first path. And the second, the one draw on top, the second line draw on top, we can apply a new rule. In this case, I apply a 5, 5. So it make a line white 5, and then a space of 5. If we increase it, it make a line white of 5 and a space of 10. So we can change also this stroke array based on the scale denominator or the view, the kind of data we are using. And these are how the style for roads in railway from IGAD Portal was made. Now we'll save this. Next, styles is the market distribution with the trade route. I select the trade routes as layers because I want to show geometry transformation with GeoCSS. In this case, we apply arrow, triangle on the end, on the start point and point of the line, so we can make the lines look like arrows. So for these styles, I will open it. Okay, this is the style we use here, and is for this polyline you see on the map. I will click on it to see the data. I trade route. Trade route give this information, the mode, and the name of the route. Now we'll comment this style and rewrite it to show how it works, the geometry transformation. I will copy the filter of scale denominator under 3 millions, stroke of, okay, stroke, and now the line are changed. How we can apply an arrow on the start and end point of these lines. First of all, we have to use the marker, and to create markers that will be applied on the end and start, we have to use new properties that it's called mark geometry. And mark geometry define which will be the geometry we will use for represent the marker. So now I have to open a square brace, 2 square braces, because we have 2 arrows, one for the start and one for the end. And there is a function that can change the original geometry of the line. For example, one is called start point. So point is a function that needs as argument the geometry of this line. Geometry is, for this case, is named dgeom. If you are not sure about the name of the geometry, you can trigger the list of values available for this layer by typing after the square brace something. In this case, we have geometry, dgeom, and we can use this value as the geometry for this feature. So with the start point, we create a start geometry marker. It will return a point, and with endpoint, we generate a new point from this geometry. Now we can apply a style. These points now are not visible because we need to apply a style with the sector, with the property mark. So the first will be symbol. We start with a circle to see if it will apply. Okay, we see now we have a circle on the start point, and we have a circle on the end point. It should be Okay. Okay. Then we can use as for fill and for stroke the mark selector. Mark selector works as for fill or for stroke. We can change the style of the symbols inside the mark property. We start with the stroke. So now we have a stroke for this symbol, and then change also the fill. Okay, so now we have fill for the start end point, and we can we can change now the circle with an arrow. We can use the shape closed arrows are represented with the C arrow. Now we start to see a sort of arrow, but is horizontal. It's not rotated yet. And also for the endpoint, an arrow. Now they are perpendicular to the view, so parallel to the view. So we need to rotate based on the angle of the line, and we can use another function on the rotation in the mark symbol that use a geometry transformation. A geometry function that gets the start and end angle from the geom. Start angle and angle the geom. Now go, and there's an error. Okay, missing the close and open the square brace. Every function needs to be in between two square brace. So now we rotated, but as you can see, the first, I think the first of the start point and the start angle rotation need an adjustment. They will be rotated correctly, but these need to be flip horizontal, and we can add. So we can add to this angle 180 degrees, so we can rotate in the right direction. So this is the way we can add a marker and modifying the original geometry, in this case a line, and create, for example, connection that represent interaction between different, in this case it was a marker, and I thought that could be a nice visualization for this data.
Yes, true.
I will try to uncomment this to show the final result. And in the final result, I add also some label, as we see before. And also, sorry?
It makes your map very powerful.
Oh, thank you.
Descriptive and everything.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we use, in this case, the recode function to apply different color to the road based on the type of. We found different type, for example, tracking, track, and track and tracking, and we apply different color to represent this route. The record function works in this way that accepts the property. In this case, there was a mode property. For each value, you can say the value tracking needs the color, this color. The value track needs to be this color, so you can map directly. So it's like to say it's equal to this one. So it's an easy way you can use this function instead of add multiple filters.
Oh. So imagine now this script is there now, it's complete. So we want to import it on the real production side.
Okay.
You create the CSS and then you copy paste this one, or is there any way to import these things?
You can copy paste these styles. These styles for trade route. You can copy paste in a new created style from CSS and should apply on the trade route direction ID. That's the ID of the layer. And you see
paste CSS. Then after that, you copy paste this one.
Yes, this one.
But
and
is it going to override the previous SLD?
No, I can show you how. Now I will.
You can disable it or what? The SLD, the previous style.
You can take the previous style, but you can also make something like this. I will show the process. You can create a new style. For example, the base CSS.
Oh.
I take a copy style. I give him a random name. I go to the repository. Now we have to look for trade route direction. I copy this style. I will open the copy style. I open the copy style. Remove this and add this one. This style should work only with the kind of layer because it selects the mode, because this layer has mode as value. And then you save this with the confirm button. When you come back to the list, you have the original styles, the one I previously created, and the copied one. So you can have multiple style and maybe copy and change something, the color, different color.
Which one will override with the first one? Or
no, they are separated. You can when you say this layer will be created will be available for these layers. So you can you override the one you just created.
Okay, yes.
But so you still have the old ones.
Yeah, no need to disable the old ones.
Yes, when you click save on the map, now the one you select, it will apply to it.
Like for example, how did you? After you save, I saw a list of layers. Okay, now close.
Close, yes. Yes, this is the layer on the map. When you create a new map.
These are the styles. But these are
the layers. These are the layers in this.
Okay, now can you click roads or railways?
Okay. Oh, sorry.
At the bottom.
Yes. Click here. Here I have different style related to that layer.
Okay, I understand now.
Okay.
For each layer, you define a style.
Yes, each layer has available style and related style.
True.
And to complete the visualization of trade route, I also will show the towns. I think it's important for this visualization, and the market distribution. So we can start to talk. We have just finished the lines. We can talk about the points and how to represent points. So we'll start with the market distribution. Open market distribution. Okay, market distribution with the styles use a recode function. The recode function takes, we saw before, takes the properties. Now I click on the market. And yes, the information for market distribution was the type, and there was 3 types: the primary, secondary, and open bush. In this case, we use the value of the type to change the stroke color, the fill color, and the size. So you see we have the primary is this one, the bigger one. Secondary is the orange one, and is in the middle, and the green one is the open bush. So we can change. We can apply a simple symbol. I will start right now. Okay. I add a filter for the scale denominator under the 2 millions. Mark symbol with the symbol circle, but I will change it to square. The selector to modify the style. Mark selector for mark property. And we change the stroke. And now we change the stroke, but everything is the same. And in this case, as I said before, we use the recode function. Recode function, or recode, open parentheses, close parentheses, needs property, type, first value with the associated color. We know that some markers are type primary, and primary will be this color. I selected the color from the tool we saw in the first part. And now you see it's not clear because they are similar colors, so I will change also the size of the marker. So I will copy this. Primary type size needs to be a number, so we start with 20. Okay, because I increase to make more visible, so we know what information we are changing. So this is the primary. I will copy also this for the fill. So we have recode, in this case used for fill, for the color of the stroke, the color of the fill, and the size of the marker. Now we can add the secondary market with a size of 500, sorry, 50, and secondary with a different color. I previously select this color. Okay, now is a secondary market, and we use the same color for the stroke, so it's more visible. And last kind of market are the open ones, and we use a green color for the stroke, for the fill, and a different size for the marker. Something is not correct. I copy and paste. Okay. Okay. No. I have to check once. Okay, now it's green. And now apply a different size. Okay, maybe it's too big, this one. So we use 20, 15, 10, 20, 10, and 5. So, okay, 20, 10, 30, 15, and 10. So now we use, to summarize, we use recode to change the stroke, fill, and size, and we highlight the different market. Maybe a user information for this kind of data could be to add also a label. Label for the market distribution. There is name. So we see a label with marker. Name. Okay, the name now is over the marker. Before we need to change the font family. I use Noto Sans. Font size a bit more. Font fill, we change the color, and we use this time white, and we can use halo color with the recode function with the same color of the different market. And halo radius of 2. Okay, and maybe this could be smaller. And a new properties, and should be label anchor is where the label will be anchored. So we want to be in the center of the marker. So we have to declare it at 0.5, 0.5. That means that the label will be in the middle of the marker. Maybe we need a smaller size and give it a font weight bold, so more 9, 10. 10 was better. Okay, now we have also the information of the name of the market with the marker that change size based on the type. So I think this gives a complete visualization of this interaction.
So, but when is it primary?
Primary is the purple one.
Yes. And the secondary?
So green, there is called open bush.
Where is open bush? It must be very small one.
This one.
Small markets around any bush.
And the orange one, the secondary.
Yeah, but I want to see the open bush. Where is it?
This one. Probably because I need to...
Yeah, it's been hidden behind.
Yeah, yes. We can use the label offset to move. I think it's 12 should be enough. Label offset will move on top.
Yeah.
So
yes, that's clear.
Yes, maybe a bit more for the primary, so they are all.
Yeah. Label offset also for all of them.
Sorry?
For the primary label offset, like this one, yeah.
Okay, only for the primary. Yes, we can. We can use the type equals primary offset for 16 and this one 12. They should be. Oh.
But why do you put it in this?
I'm trying to make a different offset for the primary.
Yes.
And different for the other ones too, but that's not changing. Maybe it needs to be type label offset, and I can make this like okay. So in this way, with this filter, we are saying if the type is equal primary, label offset 0, 20, so x 0 and 20 pixel on the top from the center. If a difference, if not primary, not equal primary, so the others, the offset is 12. So we can apply to different offset, visit also the sides. I save this. Save this, and so with the market and the arrow, we see a complete visualization with line and point symbolizer.
Yeah.
And I will now we continue with point symbolizer, and I want to be sure I save this.
Yeah.
So I can upload then on the repository. Okay, and now we started with the networks, transmission networks, and there was another information about transmission network. I tried to create a styles. There is the power plants. And for this visualization, I used the market. I increase the size of the market based on the feature information. Now I show how.
But this shows the power plant?
Yes.
But this is a good visualization, do you think?
Sorry?
The pipes, are they a good visualization to represent
This I made a test to see how can be visualized. I tried to use this color because I had
no, the color is fine. The color is fine. The shape.
The shape. Ah, okay. The shape. The shape.
Maybe circle gear.
Sorry.
A kind of gear icon.
Ah, okay, okay. I show why I select
this. This is also very good. This is also nice.
The reason is because with this, we can add the gear, but with symbols we can change.
Are they hydro plants, hydro water plants, or
no, the power plants.
Power plants. So it's okay. Now this is good.
I show you because I select. This is a quite complex style because it uses 4 symbols. Interpolate function to move and change the size of the symbol. Because with the symbol we can symbol and URL we can modify it, and modifying we can change the size. So starting from, in this case, mark, we start from this with the mark selector. I remove this one. So we start with the, you see, if you use the vertline symbol without modify the size, you have the same size for every element. So we can change to 2 to represent it, but it is the same. I try to make more visible. Okay, now with the interpolation function, we can change the size of a simple line, a simple symbol line. Now we copy this and explain how it applies. So with interpolation, it maps the value of the size. Now for the power plants, I used the property. I have to click property. No, I need more surface to click on it. Cannot. Wait. Okay, power plant. I use some megawatt information to change the size. So with the interpolate, we change the size of the marker. See now the marker have different height. By interpolate the some megawatt values between 0 and 100. So if 0, start with size of 2. If the value is 100, use the end value of 30, and in between maps all the other values. So now you see that each symbol has a different size. And with lines, the only size that is changed if the birth line is the 8. If we use the horizontal line, or line should be, if I remember correctly. No, it's not or line. Probably a different one. I can use a square to. square should be this, not that one. If you square, the square changes size, the width and the height. But for this kind of visualization, I would like to show only the height. So I select the vert line as symbol to change the size. Now something is wrong. Okay. Now now it's the center of the marker now is in the middle of this vert line. So we need to move this marker for the half of this new size. To make this, we can use mark offset. And use an interpolate, the same interpolate function. So we have the height of the element, but this move all the element, sorry, missing 0 for the x, and y should be the interpolate function that is equal of the size, but should be moved minus the half of the 8. So we need to multiply this interpolate for minus 0.5, multiply interpolate. That's move the symbol with the start point on the bottom of the line. And this is the way all these marker was made. And now we'll show all the code, so we can move on
yes.
another marker. But
okay. I think yes, now it was really impressive and exciting really to see how the GeoCSS can really transform your map totally to another level.
Yes, it's a lot of feature, a lot of properties, and
exactly.
And you can combine them, try new experiment with that, because a lot of these are experiments I make to try to understand how to represent information.
And that's really great. So all of this code are currently hosted on this repository?
Yes, in the repository MapStore in IGAD.
Yeah, so in order to apply some of the styles that's already developed onto our portal is just first to make sure that our portal is accepting this editing function.
Yes.
And then we can apply after that.
Copy
and paste it.
Yes, you have to be sure that that style match the layer, because the style are made for a specific layer.
Yes. Specific layers, you are right.
That's because of the types. I would like to show last two styles. One with time.
Yeah. Since I have also another meeting, maybe you can briefly.
Yes. I will show.
Yes.
On this map, I will show briefly the ones from that GeoCSS can also modify the raster. I made these styles, I call it normals, where I changed the colors. Now, take a bit. I took these scales from the computer graphics normals texture and apply like color map entry. There are specific rules you can find in documentation how to apply channels colors map the entry for the raster data, and there's also some tutorial, some reference how to use.
The GeoCSS is a standard.
GeoCSS is translated in GeoServer directly from GeoCSS to SLD. So GeoCSS is translated in SLD, so GeoServer can read it and apply on the layers these styles.
Okay, for example, the QGIS users, they can create such kind of advanced styling using the interface, the QGIS desktop, or not?
I don't think so, because QGIS export in SLD. Probably there are some equal, not the similar function, but some alias, and it should be a way also to making QGIS, but not directly from GeoCSS.
So when we are bringing maps to the web, so somehow if you want this map representation this way, there should be a kind of GeoCSS style should need to be implemented in order to get the effect.
For this effect, yes, I think there is an equal function also in other style editor.
Yeah. Okay.
And
saying some advanced stuff which you cannot do on other style sheet editor like SLD.
Yes, this kind of thing could be also made in SLD, but easier with GeoCSS because the way is wrote is more compact and readable, and GeoCSS make for you the rule of SLD.
Okay.
Sorry.
So now the good thing is GeoCSS, the engine is already embedded on Map server.
It's in GeoServer that works behind GeoNode.
GeoServer. So the what do you call it? GeoCSS, right?
Yes, GeoCSS is the language, works
under, it's already embedded on the GeoServer.
GeoServer that is behind GeoNode, in this case.
So GeoNode users can be able to use
GeoCSS.
GeoCSS, yes.
And the last one, styles, because I found really interesting these data from earthquake, and I uploaded it with the temporary, with the timeline, and I made a styles, and to show you it, that can be used also with the timeline. I have to select the styles. I made. Okay, now you see there are circles that should represent the center, and with the timeline you can change the range, so you can see more information. About earthquake in various time, and I tried also to, now they are represented with interpolation, the magnitude changes the sides.
Can you play it and then see the effect?
Sorry?
Can you play the time series?
Yeah. Yes, you can play. So that should start and show. Probably I need to increase a bit, increase the
delay.
Yes, so a bit faster. So you can see the style applied on a vector layers with the time data.
So this is how the meteorologist or show us on some of the animations on TV or something.
So it's
the impact of earthquake. These are earthquakes in different times.
Yes. The layers is historic earthquakes from IGAD Portal.
Ah, from IGAD Portal.
Yes. I found this on IGAD Portal, and I use the values of magnitude, and the opacity is the kilometers.
So was it uploaded on time series also in our map portal?
I have to check. I downloaded and uploaded time series in my local.
I really want to check that.
And you can try this also. Change also the values.
What do you call earthquake?
Sorry? Historic earthquake.